Sweta Regmi is a certified career strategist. She runs the career coaching company Teach and Do in Sudbury. There's been a lot of news about layoffs, not just in the media, which we heard of recently, but in the tech sector. I mean, every industry, we are hearing about more and more jobs being lost. What is your best advice for someone who just found out that they are going to be laid off, and especially if it was unexpected?
It's happening in its normally unexpected way even before that news. So what are you doing when you're hearing those rumor mills in media or within the organizations, the water cooler talk? This is for listen to it very closely, especially if you are someone who's working in remote. You really need to go into the office and listen to those rumor mills and start strategizing your exit. And if that happens and you are really shocked about it, be positive. That's where it starts. Feel that gratitude inside. And we are somebody when you don't have a title. And that this is where a lot of people question their accomplishment and personal branding. So I really want you to think it through. What have you accomplished? Who are you without that title? And start working on your SWOT, which is the strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. And maybe there is something that you need to work on, upgrade the skills, especially if you are within the company for so many years, if you're tenure, it's time for you to revisit the labor market and see the titles available for you, because sometimes the title might have been customized based on where you are within your industry with the employer. So this is a time for you to look into the inventory of the skills, and you might find fantastic title, and it could be blessing in disguise sometimes.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, even myself when I've been laid off, blessing in disguise. But it does feel pretty crummy getting laid off. You start to question your own skills. It's a big hit to your ego. But the one immediate thing that happens is that your finances are turned upside down. What resources are available for employees who have been laid off, who immediately need to find out what money can they get coming in?
As a layoff survivor, there are certain strategies that I applied. First of all, let's go back to the job offer. You need that handy. I definitely want you to go and seek the legal advice. Are you leaving your hard-earned money? No matter employers are taking care of you, that's fine. You trust your boss, you trust your employer, but you never know what you're missing. Could your severance be something that you can negotiate? On a severance that you need to look out for based on the title, how long it's going to be taking you for you to bounce back, the employment contract you had. I've always told my clients, your exit is dictated by the job offer you've signed it years ago. And this is why you need to go back and review it. Let's say the bonuses were due this year and you did not get the bonus. Was that part of the severance? And you got to look into it. That's a lot of money, and people don't understand that. It needs to be prorated. So let's say that you now, supposed to be getting bonus, and your severance package dictates that you're going to be employed until next year based on the length of, severance you had. Are you getting those bonuses and benefits that the lawyer is going to negotiate for you? And there are some lawyers, they're not going to have to pay them right now. They will take that from the employer's pocket as well. So it's a lot of employers who are really good at supporting by providing you career services and outplacement. So that could be negotiable as well. I do have a lot of clients who negotiate and they come back to me. We're not healed right away. We're not ready to go back. We're still questioning, why me? Why am I not there? So you need to heal, and you need to really have that clarity and SWOT on yourself. Okay, where am I going to go back? Am I going to change the career? Is this right moment to go back to the school, upgrade the skills? And we cannot rush that outplacement services. So you want to go back and say, hey, can I get the cash back for it? And usually it could start from like $2,500 to $5,000. See if there's an option. So when you're ready, hire your personal coach and work with them. Those are the financial people to know that it's available and you have no idea what's negotiable. Know you're right. It's not you're being greedy. It's your money that you're leaving on the table without knowing what's available for you.
That is such a key point, because I think a lot of people feel like they're taking advantage of a situation by asking for what is due to them. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because oftentimes corporations, they have money, but you need to negotiate with them in order to get access to that. If you just take the first offer, like it is with salary negotiation, if you just take the first offer, then are there jobs that are they tend to be more vulnerable to layoffs, so then require that sort of forward thinking that, this job most likely, in a couple of years, I could be in a round of layoffs and I should be prepared for that?
My own lived experience, some of the jobs which were impacted was middle manager. I was one of them. So if I had 3 more colleagues doing exactly the same thing, I've just recently hired someone to train, that could be potentially your replacement. So just watch out. Why are you training new people? Are you going to be gone if you're the highest paid employee? So I think understanding the organization culture is the key, and past layoff history. Some organizations, what they do is they lay off tenure folks based on the higher salary because we are the cost to them. Some would be based on the low performer, where the strategy, you've seen it, that people are put on performance improvement plan. You're on the PIP and the wrongful dismissal. Did he have a very bad rating? And was it shocking performance review for you? Was that the strategy? They're all toxic bosses and employers out. You got to protect yourself and watch those, read between the line as well. If something is shocking, something's not right. There's a term called constructive dismissal. So if you're a manager, your responsibility is a manager managing the team, and they come back to you and say, what, you're now individual contributor. That could be technically a constructive dismissal for you, and people have no idea. And the other thing is, if you're a remote worker, hire as a remote worker, and if you're called back, it's a mandatory requirement for you to go back to the office. That could count as a constructive dismissal as well. Saying, hey, if you don't come back, you're going to be laid off or quit, right? So are you being micromanaged? These are the warning signs. You have to look into it. And organizations' culture is really important on it. And there's a proximity bias kicking in, or if you have hybrid workers, and there are people who are going to be promoted left and right because they're so seen face to face, they're showing up in a meeting, are the remote worker questioned because they, they're not committed as well, right? So are you going to be impacted because you're a remote worker? So the strategy could be something that, how can you make an impactful, meaningful work environment for your bosses? How can you make your boss look good as well during this dark stage? So that could be your strategy, and making sure that you do not have a replacement. Even if you do, you need to communicate with your boss. Cannot read your mind. You can let them know, hey, in the event that there is a restructuring coming up, I am cross-trained. I would love to shadow the different department, which is growing as well. I bring this kind of inventory and skills, and I can pivot easily. Instead of you hiring different people, I can move out from this department to the other one. Put it in their ear. If you want the layoff, put it in their ear as well. I'd be okay with the severance. And if you want that, then you're the first one to get that, what you want. If you're really not happy, where your talent is celebrated as well. This is a time to get the communication straight up with the strategy with your boss. If you want to be part of the team.
Insecurities that many people have once they're laid off is when they look for a new job, how will they explain that they were let go from their last job? How do you do that, especially on a resume where you don't have an opportunity to actually help them understand why you lost that job?
You can talk about it. There's 2 ways. Don't ask, don't tell. But I believe firmly in taking an accountability. It's not your fault. And then call it out on, tell me about yourself. Then you're going to talk about your accomplishment and say, unfortunately, the role got eliminated. 10 of us were let go, and I was part of that. And here's what I've learned. Move forward with it. Just like 30-second line, punchline, and you're addressing that right there in their face, elephant in the room right now, because do not let them hanging. They might assume the worst. And the first thing is, you should probably already have on the resume sections right there, right beside laid off, mass layoff, right? Especially if you were laid off and it was all over in media, that's a strategy for you to put it right there. Laid off due to restructuring, mass layoff. So they already know before you even go into the interview. An interview, address it, move on what you've learned on it. Also, career gap on the LinkedIn profile as well. That's a branding. What have you learned? Start posting it. Hey, I'm doing this. I'm upgrading. Here's my certifications. Here's where I'm giving back, volunteering. That's all something that I strategize it to go back. I had 1-year career gap. I had built in the stories when they asked me, hey, what happened to the last job doing, right? I had all those posts ready to go. Build the impactful stories. So learn the new tech, learn the labor market, learn the new skills, and it would be easy for you to take accountability and make it feel like I'm so proud of it, even though when the worst moment happened to me, I was resilient.
If someone is thinking of reaching out and getting some professional career advice that costs money often, what would be your argument that in a layoff situation where money is actually tight, to spend money to improve your chances of landing that next job?
There are a lot of free resources. For example, I have a lot of free resources on my YouTube channel, Teach and Do. On my free resources, people can download. In fact, I have created as a layoff survivor. How do you announce the layoff? There's a strategy, right? A lot of people shy away from it. Announce the layoff, and strategy should be something like, hey, I got laid off, gratitude, here's what I've learned, these are the role I'm targeting. So posting, creating the personal branding, these are something, it does not cost you the money. It requires commitment on your part. Make sure your LinkedIn is optimized and you know how to do it. I have those on the YouTube channel. So start hanging out with the right people who were laid off and they were in the industry, and talk to them. Hey, what are the resources, free resources? What did you do to upgrade it? Now, did you know that you can partner with the mentorship within your colleges, university? If you graduated, they provide free LinkedIn learning. There is a library, they provide free LinkedIn learning as well. So these are the free resources available for you, but it requires the commitment for you. And you don't have to spend a dime on it to build a personal branding, but you're going to have to execute beautifully. So that way the recruiters are looking out for you instead of you are applying online and getting tired of it. Make sure your LinkedIn is SEO friendly, because if you don't have a good branding, you don't have a key skills, keywording, and you don't let them know that you're open to opportunity, no one's going to know. Use the tool that's available for you. Opening the LinkedIn brand, banner with the green frame, which is like, hey, I'm available. Everyone knows. So sometimes we are ashamed to let people know that we're unemployed, but we got to use the tool that we have it, which is the free resources if money is tight on you. Get it going. Build a side hustle. If you are hiring manager, let's say, and you got laid off, you have tons of resources. You can go and volunteer on employment services, speak for free, talk about your experience, make an impact, and you feel great as built your personal branding. And that's exactly what I did.
Thank you so much, Sweta. I really think that people are going to get a lot out of this conversation. Even if we haven't been laid off, it's something that we should be thinking about. Just like any other emergency, you don't want it to happen, but you should be prepared if it does. I really thank you for your time. We're speaking to Sweta Regmi. She is a certified career strategist and the founder of Teach and Do.